get some reaction to Patience Mbava. She's, of course, the chairperson of the Financial and Fiscal Commission. Patience, good afternoon. Just first up, your overriding reaction. How do you characterize this budget?
Thank you so much, Dan. The budget, from our perspective, it's a balancing act. The key word is trade-off. So government faces a trade-off between growing the economy, sustainable, as well as addressing socio-economic issues. So you could see that clearly there has to be a balance between meeting the needs of an agitated civil society, because as the minister was speaking, there were people outside Parliament who are actually agitating for more social grants. And also the minister is talking about a sustainable growth path. How do you manage that? But at the same time, we can see that this minister is quite intent on in ensuring that the state intervenes in the economy and preserve socio-economic rights. So as the FFC, what we see is that there are moves towards getting to a point where there is a permanent basic income grant.
Well,
so
he was, but on that, hold on, ma'am. On that point, I mean, he was very clear that government still has to discuss and decide a number of things, especially about the special distress grant that they've brought in during COVID-19, the 350 rand a month one. And then the activists, of course, were outside Parliament wanting it to be extended. And he said government still has not decided what's going to happen beyond March 22, but we will be discussing it. There is pressure, of course, and calls that make sense for a basic income grant. But he was at pains to point out that the monies that they are getting are not really sustainable in the long term, like this temporary windfall from the mining industry of an extra 120 billion rand into the fiscus. That's not going to be for long term.
Exactly. So we need to be very prudent in how we move forward, because that money is not long-term. It's a short-term windfall due to the upturn in the commodities sector. So we need to find ways where we can grow the economy. So what we could see is that there are moves as well to unlock the blockages that are currently in the economy, in terms of ensuring that your ESCOM works, the logistics infrastructure works, so that the economy can be unblocked to actually grow, be on a growth path. So we have to look internally first to see how we can move these blockages that block the economy from reaching its sustainable growth path.
Yeah, and a lot of money has been spent already on ESCOM, and ESCOM still wants more. But it wasn't very clear from the minister here what he's expecting. But he was saying that in February they'll be clarifying more. But he did make the point that gone are the days of bailing out state-owned enterprises.
And that is the key issue. How do we go ahead and move forward with continuous bailouts? As the FFC, we have tried to analyze the state-owned enterprises, but we have always come against a wall, because many of these state-owned entities are not transparent in terms of their financials. So we have called for the relevant executive authorities to help us to analyze and to assist, to advise government on how the state-owned enterprises can be more sustainable. But we need the numbers, we need the figures, and we have come across at many times a blank wall.
Yeah, that's a pity. You mentioned the word balancing act earlier. I spoke to an economist earlier, Sfiso Skenjana, and I said to him, if we had to hashtag this budget, what would it be? He said, hashtag balanced budget. Now, you've got an extra 120 billion rand. The DG, Dondo Mukhajane, telling my colleague Devin Murugan that 60 billion is going towards servicing the debt. Currently, the debt levels are very high, as we all know that the state is servicing. And then there's going to be a discussion about the rest, the other 60 billion. Where do you prioritize? Where should it go? What would the Commission expect?
It is, as you say, it is a balancing act. But I think at the list, the socio-economic rights of our people, as per the Constitution, should not regress. So we have seen in the previous budgets that issues like education, like your social grants for the poor, for instance, the old age pension before, they did get an increase of about 250 rand, and then that was withdrawn. So what we say is that the socio-economic rights should not be unduly negatively impacted by a reduction in the budget. So we're watching out for that those rights are protected in the Constitution, the basic socio-economic rights of our people.
Yeah, so you have to make sure that you don't compromise on this. So while you are balancing, you have to make sure the money goes to the right sectors. Just a final question. I mean, there's an issue of the July riots. Let's not forget them. The minister did refer to them, how badly they've affected investor confidence in the country and redirected resources in terms of the damage that we have seen. Would you expect there should be more given in terms of relief, particularly to small business, just beyond the SARS claims?
I think most job creation that is happening right now is created by micro enterprises. And so those are not in the normal course of business regarded as mainstream businesses, but they are the ones who are creating most jobs. So they should have access to some sort of funding to ensure that they are also sustainable and they continue to create those jobs. So I do think that the July riots were a writing on the wall that all is not well in our country in terms of inequality and unemployment and poverty.
Thank you very much for your time this hour here. Patience Mbava from the Financial and Fiscal Commission.